Andy, this is a milestone episode for us. Episode 300.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a lot. That's a lot of us running our mouths.
That's a lot of us running our mouths. You did a good job on Friday going solo too. That was nice. Well done. Well done.
Thanks, thanks. It's never the same. Like we say, it's every time. But I go back and listen to our pods always, and just to get what I can out of them. And like the solo ups are just such a completely different show. So I'm glad that on this 300th episode, you're back from your journey, and we can do it. And Dave, as we celebrate our 300th episode, we celebrated on the 250th birthday of our U.S. Marine Corps. So a pretty exciting day.
Kudos to the Marine Corps. It's well done on the Marine Corps. 300 episodes for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of us getting up early in the morning and talking to everybody and sharing our fun stories and our vitriol sometimes, I guess.
There'll be a time, I think, Dave, when because when this podcast started out, I don't think we were as frustrated and angry. I mean, we were sharing more like other topical stories. It's just
Yeah.
the last 10 months, like it's just, I mean, I'm watching my wonderful Detroit Lions smash the Washington Commanders yesterday. And like that is a game that I live for. Like I don't know if we're trying to get into this today, but like that game is very meaningful to me at many levels. So I was just enjoying the game yesterday, after a long run yesterday, just enjoying it. And then I've got to listen to Donald Trump in the middle of my game, like running his mouth for like 20 minutes about how bad the last administration was and everything's going great. And I was like, why are you ruining my game? This guy is everywhere, including consuming our podcast most days. It's just so crazy.
We gave him credit for being like out there. I think that's just like he wants to be out there.
He does.
Like he does these things because he wants to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's trying to be transparent because he's blowing shit up everybody's ass, but it's because he's just wants to be page six news, the New York stuff and just he went like that's it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care what he's saying because it's all fucking lies. The groceries are down, Andy. Groceries
Yeah.
are energy is down. It's all Biden's fault. Look at all I've done. So here, I'll give you all $2,000 checks.
All right, so there we go. With that, that's exactly where we are at 300 episodes, Dave. That's a summary of exactly where we are every day right now. So happy 300 stuff. Really on par with 250 years of the Marine Corps. I mean, pretty much the same level of importance to these two milestones, I think.
I think so too. I think so too. All right, Andy, let's jump into some topics. We'll start with politics because then we can stop talking about politics. But because I'll talk my travel adventures and then we'll talk football. So it looks like the Senate Democrats broke, Andy, and they decided it looks like all intents and purposes, there's an agreement in place
Yeah.
to move forward with the hope that somewhere down the line, sometime, who knows when, could be tomorrow, could be next year, sometime, they may talk about healthcare and getting the premiums down. So, to recap, the Democrats did not continue to vote for a continuing resolution or any sort of budget agreement to move forward, shutting down the government because the ACA privilege uh, subsidies were going to increase and they wanted to extend it for another year. The Republicans just refused to move on any of it. Donald Trump refused to move on it. It started having larger impacts, travel, SNAP benefits, all these other things. And the ACA benefits are still, or subsidies are going to expire. Those healthcare prices for most Americans are going to increase now exponentially, which is going to result in many people not choosing not to have healthcare versus anything else because, like we were saying, prices are actually going up in every other place in America. So I don't know, Andy. Now it really looks like the Democrats caused the shutdown, and so I don't know, Andy.
Well, I mean, this is a process, right? I mean, it's a process to move anything forward, including spending bills to reopen the government. Like there's a process to it, and the Republicans are the majority party, so I don't think it's necessarily fair to put it on the Democrats in the sense that they're trying to preserve health care benefits and options for people. They're the minority party, and the Republicans didn't want to negotiate on that, so there's sort of a hey, we'll get to it. We're not going to screw everybody over. It's tough. I mean, eventually you get in a situation where you're like, okay, how long do we hold our position, and when do we reopen the government? Dave, while I think your travels went relatively well, there was a lot of travel chaos in this
Oh
country
yeah.
over the last few days, right? So between paying our government workers, right, while the president's like doing everything he can to deny them benefits, like demanding states rescind benefits, right? So to get government workers back to work so the government can do its job, so people can get paid, to make sure our military is paid, to make sure that air traffic is happening proper, air traffic control is happening properly. Like like how long, in this longest shutdown in history, how long do you let it go on? It's frustrating. There's not a good option. I know there's a lot of anger at Senate Democrats today for trying to move something forward. And, can you trust John Thune? I don't know if you can, but maybe you can now more than before because maybe he recognizes he doesn't want another shutdown in January. So it's really tough. There's a part of me that's frustrated by the fact we went through this long shutdown and now what has it accomplished? But at the same time, you know, like I think we had to get to a point where we're going to have to make a decision to move forward in somehow, some manner. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think that's the key point. I mean, like, look, if that's what the Democrats felt like they needed to do, that's great. But did you 40 days worth of it? I mean,
Yeah,
that's where I think the part of the frustration comes in. And I think again, federal workers, and I'll share some of this in the next segment, they're working without pay for a long period of time. And how long is that going to continue? It's just going to get worse. And now you have really like Thanksgiving you're impacting and Christmas you're impacting all these other things. So a lot of big concerns. And look, if that's the decision that the Democrats want to make, that's fine. And then you're going to really now hold Republicans accountable for the failed policies of this presidency and this government. They still have not passed any legislation this year, Andy. I mean, it's
done.
remarkable.
Nothing.
There's
Nothing.
been nothing done. So, I mean, the Democrats have a lot, maybe they're just saying, hey, we have a lot to vote for, but there's still going to be a lot of Americans who are now going to be in really tough financial binds with healthcare, and that's the way it goes, I guess. So,
Yeah, it's tough. Now, just to be clear, this isn't done yet, right? There's still a process to go through, but the House really can't stop this from moving forward because of the majority in the House. So most likely, this is moving us towards the government reopening, and yeah, we'll have to see where things go. I think for those that are not like heavily into what is the political scene happening right now and like really into their partisan politics, I think a lot of people are just going to be glad that this is kind of over, to be honest. But it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. So I will commend the Senate for at least having the conversation because it should have been done 2 months ago. So at least they're having the conversation and doing what they're supposed to do. Let's reopen and let's see what you're actually going to do because so far 2025 you've done jack shit. And so let's see if there's actually going to be anything being usefully coming out of the Senate or the House as we move forward.
yeah, I mean, we'll hear the victory speeches coming up here this week and how the Democrats continue to be blamed for the shutdown and the impacts and blah blah blah. It's again all distraction, all that. So really not much more to say on that one, Andy. I guess
Yeah.
it is what it is. We'll see how things evolve. You're right, though. The House has to still approve it unless the House takes objection to something that the Senate Republicans put in place. I don't know. I mean, the House has been on recess now for a very long time, and so maybe Andy will vote in or will swear in the newly elected Congresswoman from
Yeah.
Arizona, and maybe we'll have a vote on Epstein. Maybe. But then the Democrats or the Republicans will kill it, or the president will kill it when he has to sign it. So we'll see.
Yeah,
So
but I think that's part of the calculation here too. To be honest with you, I think Democrats saying, okay, let's get back to work and let's move forward. And there are some really big issues that have to be addressed. And we're going to the holidays. I think there's going to be more pressure when the House ever gets back to work. Mike Johnson, you useless tit. When the House gets back to work, he does have to swear in, this Congresswoman. They are going to try and push forward on the Epstein files. That's not a good thing for the president.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. It'll look even worse when the president doesn't sign it.
Yeah.
That'll be So okay, Andy, again, I went to Mississippi this weekend for they called it a gala event for my daughter's sorority. Now, when you say gala, you dress up kind of nice and you expect to have some sort of thing there. We knew nothing about any of this. There was no like, this is the you show up here between here this time and this time and we'll have a party. And that, again, this is what happens when you're got an event planned by 18 to 22 year olds. And
Yeah,
so you got a very it was nice, everybody dressed up. There was some food and such, and there were a couple auction items, silent auction items, but we were out of there pretty quickly. So my weekend was interesting because again, we had to fly to Mississippi. It's a 9 hour drive there,
yeah,
so we didn't want to do that for the weekend. So we flew there, and we were pretty worried that things were going to get all messed up coming or going. But it was a direct flight, so we're hopeful. Leaving Charlotte going to Memphis.
yeah.
I have to tell you, Andy, it was the best travel weekend we've ever had.
Wow,
It
wow.
was amazing. So we show up to Charlotte. Uh, we did, 2.5 hours early. Like I was like very concerned. I was seeing a lot of lines about TSA and all this other stuff. We went through security just like normal, and
Yeah,
I will say there were a lot of plain clothes, non-blue shirt employees helping out, getting things through. And so a lot of credit to those federal workers
yeah.
getting things through there. We had no impact on flight delays or cancellations or anything like that. So flew right in and then had a good weekend. Old Miss played the Citadel, which was a whitewashing. It was 28 nothing at the end of the first quarter, I think, or 21 or 20. It was bad. It was like 49 nothing is what they won.
Yeah.
Um, and then we had a fun event, a fun time hanging out with our daughter and doing some things in Oxford. It was nice. Then yesterday on the way back, again, so we knew some families there. Some people were already canceled on their flights. Some people were choosing to drive. And I told my wife, I was like, look, if we get canceled, I'm going to rent a car. We'll just drive home because I'm not going to keep doing this delay. So again, we get to the airport a little early, turn in our rental car and everything. No line at TSA.
Wow.
No line at TSA, went right through, plane boarded on normal. We left ahead of schedule. My daughter and I even had nobody next to us, but it was quite amazing. It was quite fun. So it was a really, really enjoyable travel weekend. Now, that was the exception. I mean, obviously, a lot of people were impacted, and you even saw how many plane things, but had a good weekend there, Andy. So
Well, I'm glad that you did, especially when you're doing some things for a family focus. Like you don't want the travel to just take away everything from the
yeah,
trip, all the pleasure and joy, because it can be so stressful and tiring. But while you did have a great experience, I'm really happy to hear that. I'm glad you guys got to go and enjoy time with your daughter. Like there was a lot of travel chaos. I mean, there were people that had serious delays, planes that were rerouted. I mean, hours upon hours sitting in the airport. And you and I have both done that before, David. It sucks.
it's just
Sitting
awful.
in the airport just drains your energy and enthusiasm at an unreal level. I mean, it's so tiring. And then you get on the plane and you're frustrated and you get where you're going and you're tired. Like there was a lot of chaos. So, to go back to where we were talking earlier, the government shutdown, like hopefully if this does move forward, we can get this all resolved here because the last thing Congress wants, but the last thing America wants is travel chaos going into the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, which is already, too many people traveling too many places at one time and chaotic and stressful. So I'm glad you had a good experience. I'm sorry for all those who are suffering, over the weekend, the last few days. Hopefully this gets resolved quickly and then we can get back to normal.
Yeah, all fun. So I will share we had one dinner experience. So we went to Cracker Barrel one night, and
Yes.
you remember a couple months ago, or maybe I can't remember. It all blurs into one. But the big Cracker Barrel controversy
Controversy. Yeah.
when they went from their old logo to their new logo, and they were trying to update and refresh. some of the insides of the Cracker Barrel. And I have to tell you, Andy, I know why they wanted to do it because I know why they wanted to do it. I have never seen a Cracker Barrel at 6 o'clock in the evening more empty
Really?
than this one was,
In
and
Mississippi?
in Mississippi, and this was unbelievable. Like it was like eating in a big open, like I guess like community center. You
Yeah.
could hear the plates jangling on everything. There was no convert. It felt like the echoes were all over. It was in like really bad. And I tell you, our service was not great either. It was quite bad there too. And I was like, this is why Cracker Barrel was making a business decision to kind of spruce up their their image because they wanted to try to bring some more audience in there. What a shit show, Andy. And here they were bullied back into not making some of these changes because of all the outrage online and such. It was unbelievable, Andy. So.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying when this whole conference was happening, like Cracker Barrel needed to move a little bit forward in time. Like you can appreciate the rustic look and vibe of the place, but like they were old restaurants, and so like cleaning up the paint, getting some new furniture, giving a more modern but still, classic look was probably a good thing. But people just went absolutely nuts because we live in outrage America today, and what a mess. So yeah, I'm sorry you didn't get to enjoy Cracker Barrel is enjoyable. I mean, like the
I
food
love
is
it. I love
good.
their
Yeah,
pancakes. I love their.
yeah. There's something fun about it. The old time stores is fun. Like it's got a unique place, in American food dining experiences. But yeah, like it's old. Now I wonder how much this, Dave, how much this was a result of being Cracker Barrel, and how much of it was because you were in the great state of Mississippi.
See, I tend to think like and I'd be interested to see what the demographics are like and the store sales are, but I would tend to think that a place like that would do better in a place like Mississippi than
Yeah,
it would do in Charlotte,
yeah,
where there's a lot of like because we do have a Cracker Barrel here, and yeah, there's obviously more population, but like there's like Cracker Barrel is affordable. It's relatively good nature, like good solid food. And so I would think it would typically do better, but it could also be like the economy is just awful. Like, I mean, oh no, I'm sorry. Everything's great, Andy. Everything's down. So it could be a lot of factors, but this was really, really bad. And I felt for Cracker Barrel because I still enjoy their pancakes, Andy.
yeah.
So.
So I'll say this. I don't know if this is a chain, Dave, or if it's just a single place, but for those that ever come through the Virginia area, like Cracker Barrel's great. There's some Cracker Barrels in the area, but if you're ever in the area around the King's Dominion theme park, there's an Aunt Sarah's Pancake House.
Oh, I love Aunt Sarah's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Near the old,
Yep.
I don't know what this base is called anymore, but it used to be Fort AP Hill, whatever it's called these days. But you can stop by Aunt Sarah's, and I would argue that if you have a chance to do that, those pancakes are better than Cracker Barrels. Like they are
Oh, okay.
so damn good, so perfectly moist and fluffy, and just everything you want. Like you can just scarf those down, go park, give your belly about an hour to digest, and then go enjoy the theme parks of the wonderful park that's down there. So if you're ever in the area, yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. But Dave, that just came to mind as you're talking about now. And here we are recording before 6 o'clock, and I'm starting to fiend for pancakes.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So, all right, Andy, let's move to our last segment of the day, and probably the most important one. And the NFL recap this weekend,
Yeah,
Andy. Your Commanders, president and all, I'm sorry, your Lions
yeah. Let's make sure
face
we
the
get the president
Commanders,
here.
president and all, who's making a vie for the new Commander Stadium to be called Donald J. Trump Stadium. Fucking disaster. Um, Looked really good against a really bad Commanders team. How'd you feel after this week, Andy?
Well, I mean, look, the Commanders aren't good, right? They're struggling. They have a lot of guys injured. Their young quarterback is injured. Although Marcus Mariota played some pretty good football, I thought he did a good, respectable job. Um, but there's not. I mean, there's not. They're not a competitive team right now. And the Lions came in. Dan Campbell was making the play calls. They were just. I mean, they were so good yesterday. I mean, like they scored Dave on every single possession except for the closing possession where they ran out the clock. Every single time. I mean, Washington never stopped them. You can't win football games like that, obviously. And you got the feeling like Detroit wasn't even doing everything they could. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs looked amazing yesterday behind that O line. The guy almost had 200 yards rushing, and he was still third running yesterday because there was some incredible running in the NFL yesterday. But the Lions looked great. They needed this game. I was grateful to have them beat Washington on Veterans Day weekend. Again, this game's got a lot of historical value to me, and then a great way to sort of prep for next weekend's big match, Sunday Night Football against the Eagles in Philly. So it was great. It was great.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. There's a lot of I wouldn't say there were a ton of um like great matchups, but there wound up being some really good games.
Yeah,
I tell you, Andy, we've been pushing off on the New England Patriots, but they are now riding solo near the top of the AFC after sweeping the NFC North and beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pretty good yesterday. They were in control for a lot of that, despite what the score may say. You also had a epic, I guess, collapse again by the Giants, and another Giants collapse
yeah.
against the Chicago Bears. Now Jackson Dart went out and Russell Wilson came in, and that kind of stymied the offense. But there was a collapse there, and another collapse in Houston, where the Jacksonville Jaguars were up by 19 points in the fourth quarter, and wound up losing it. Andy, the Texans scored with a couple minutes, a little over a minute and a half left, and the Jaguars had the ball. Have you seen the Jaguars kicker, Andy? He
Yes.
kicked the record 68-yard field
Yeah,
goal a couple weeks ago.
yeah.
They had one play and he was already in field goal range. And but then the Jaguars in classic Jaguar fashion pissed it away. But some exciting games there yesterday.
There were. I mean, I was dying. I thought the Giants were going to deliver a nice win for me as a Lions fan, beating the Bears, and the Bears just. I mean, they came back and won it. I mean, Russell Wilson should be able to move that team forward. You know, if Jackson Dart goes down, they did not look good. Brian Daboll is going to be fired. Like Daboll,
Yeah.
the Browns, the Bengals, like all those coaches should be fired. I mean, it's just not looking good. They're not doing a good job. So that guy's rise and falls like super fast. But yeah, they blew it. The Texans, like I think it was 26 points in the fourth quarter, if I recall. Like that's ridiculous. Like that's
Yeah.
defensive collapse. That I have not seen. Like that was remarkable. So kudos to Houston for coming back in the game. And Dave, the Bills, fresh off beating the
Um,
Kansas City Chiefs, going to Miami, who has played lousy football. Miami kicked the crap out of Buffalo. I mean, unbelievable running in that game. And the Buffalo Bills combined with the Patriots. Look, I've been talking crap about Mike Vrabel. I've been talking crap about the Patriots. They beat the Bucks nicely. I mean, some of those
yeah.
plays were really nice football plays. Good execution, solid performance. The Patriots have an easy schedule. This was their only hard game, and
Yeah.
so they're going to go on and win that division. And the Bills dropping this game, like they're putting themselves in a dangerous situation. I mean, they could be one of those teams looking at week 17 and saying, "Are we going to make the playoffs or not?" They could not afford to lose this game to Miami. It was a tough one. So there's some big games yesterday.
Yeah, and remember, I mean, Buffalo's had some like bad games already, and then they shouldn't have won that week one game against the Ravens. The Ravens really pissed that one away, and so like you really have to call in the question: Are the Bills going to be able to do it? It's going to be an interesting time figuring out how the AFC is because the Steelers are leading the AFC North, but the Ravens are two-game win streak and they're right back in it.
Yeah,
And they've got a pretty easy schedule ahead. So they could very easily win out on that division. I just think there's a lot of just good. I mean, well, one thing you got to mention too on the NFC side, the Rams and Matthew Stafford,
yeah,
who now, after all these years, is finally at a 500 record. He's 115, 115 and 1. But the last 3 weeks, Andy, 12 touchdown passes, no interceptions.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
playing at an MVP level, and everyone was thinking that he might not make it through the season this year because of his back.
yeah.
So
I mean, again, got to give credit to players and coaches. Sean McVay is doing something really special in LA right now with that team. They are playing really good football. And again, going into next weekend, there's a big match for another team that I've tried to downplay, but maybe I need to accept that they're actually legitimately really good. The Seattle Seahawks looked ferocious
yeah,
yesterday, thumping the Cardinals. We've got a Seahawks Rams matchup coming next weekend that is going to be consequential for the division and a really good football game, I think. So there's some exciting football that was played this last weekend. I mean, there are some really big games and some big ones coming up. But yeah, I think we are starting to see a little bit of separation between some of these teams. It's still confusing. I mean, look, the Saints beat the Panthers at home yesterday. That
yeah.
was a little bit unexpected. The comeback games were not what we were looking for. Sort of surprising outcomes. The Chargers beating the Steelers, showing that the Chargers aren't a bad football team. The Steelers, even though they're winning their division, might be a bad football team. Like there's still a lot of question marks too. It is a wild NFL season.
Yeah. One person who was not surprised by the Seahawks is yours truly. I mean, I've had them near the top of my Power Five or top five in the last couple of weeks. So Seahawks are playing really good football,
They are.
for sure, and Darnold is playing really good. We're in crunch, so we're now officially past the halfway point. So well, I get we have a game tonight, but we're week 10 next week, Andy, and so
Yeah.
we have 7 more weeks left. Actually, well, it would be 8 more, whatever, but we have a lot of, I mean, now every game really does like have playoff implications, because teams are really fighting for those couple spots there, and there's a bunch of teams. There's a couple at the top, but we've got a lot of teams at like 6-3 and 5-4 that after 2 bad weeks could be on the outside looking in. So
Yeah.
we'll see where those things go. This is the exciting time as we lead up to Thanksgiving and we get into the real, sprint to the playoffs after that point. So it's a fun time, Andy.
It is. It is an exciting time. I was looking at my Lions schedule. Lions have a tough schedule coming up, the next few weeks. And as good as the Lions are, they've also played some lousy football. And in a division where everybody has the same bloody record right now, like there's going to be some good teams that don't make the playoffs. And I mean, Detroit's just as at risk of that as every other team in the NFL. So it's going to be an exciting second half here to close out the NFL season. Every year, the NFL delivers. Worth noting too, for those, Dave, that are our age, Paul Tagliabue passed away. Paul
Yeah.
Tagliabue was a long time commissioner of the NFL, took a lot of heat from fans over the years, but really helped move the NFL forward in a lot of respects to get it to where it is today under the current commissioner. So just a notable passing
Yeah.
as he moves on.
Really, Pete Rozelle was one of the like early getting us through the 70s and 80s, but then Paul Tagliabue took it to like a lot of these getting to where we are today.
Yeah.
And Roger Goodell obviously from there, but Paul Tagliabue may have had one of the biggest impacts on the league than anyone. So a lot of kudos to him on that front. So all right, Andy, I think we'll wrap up here on a Monday. A lot of good stuff to see. We'll see what happens the rest of the week. Maybe the government shutdown will end by Wednesday, and we can talk about that a little bit and what's next for all these parties.
Yeah.
But until then, I will catch up with you next time.